Gwyneth K asks, how do you feel about sharing tools? What kind of joys and or conflict comes up when sharing your tools with others? I don't feel any conflict in sharing my tools with others. I really don't. Yeah, if anybody from Tested comes over and needs to borrow something, they're all at their disposal. Any of my friends needs to borrow a tool, yeah, these are at their disposal. I do sometimes feel conflict about not getting them back, but frankly, by the time I realize that I haven't gotten a tool back, I have probably forgotten who I've lent it to. For instance, there is in the world a detail sander that I bought that I lent to someone. I specifically remember a human in the shop saying, do you have a detail sander? And me saying yes, and lending it to them. I don't remember who that person was. That detail sander never got back to me. I ended up buying another one like 8 years later. I'm a little sad about that. I wished I could have found it, but you know, frankly, if you're going to lend tools, you should keep a list. You should keep a list by the door of who borrowed what. I always say that to myself, and I never remember to do that. And I should, frankly, because I don't like not getting stuff back. My kids know now that it's fine to borrow anything they want, but they have to tell me. One of my sons came in here and borrowed a impact drill. And what he didn't know was that my other impact drill had just broken. And so where I have like 5 normal drills and 2 impact drills at all times because of the way that I worked, at that point I had 1 impact drill. And he came in, borrowed it one Saturday, and I came in a few days later, no impact drill when I needed it. What the hell? It took me like a day to realize, oh, it was probably borrowed by one of my kids. I will tell you, I got a little salty about that. Just to let them know, you can borrow anything, you just got to let me know about it. But I love sharing. I really, really love sharing. I love it when, you know, a few years ago, we did a build here on the channel where Tracy Desjardins, my friend who's a wonderful chef, she has a cat, a very active cat, and she had this big cat wheel that made too much noise and wasn't very efficient. And we made it less noisy and more efficient here in the cave. That kind of thing just makes me so delighted. I love it when this space can be useful to the people that I love. I think that, if you don't like sharing your tools, you shouldn't share them. I think that is also totally okay. I think it is fine to not want to share your tools, to not want your tools to leave your space. That is a totally reasonable thing. We all have the ways in which we like to work. And so I was just thinking about this. It's like, how would I feel if someone told me they didn't want to lend me a tool? And the answer is, it's their tool. It's their prerogative. It's at their disposal. I am asking for their good graces. And if that interrupts their work process too much, I don't want to borrow that tool from them. I totally think that's reasonable. So yeah, I don't want to gatekeep over not sharing your tools if you find it high conflict, or if you find that the people you lend them to don't them back, or you can't get around to an organizational system like I can't to keep track of where things are. Recently, so that's you know, the A named personal assistant. She plays my music here when I'm in the cave, and I recently confirmed that thing of where someone said something in here that I know I have never entered into a computer, and it showed up in my list of Amazon suggested things. Yeah, it finally happened. We were filming here recently with our friends from Corridor Crew. That will go up soon. It was very exciting. We had a really, really fun fantasy camp kind of day with them. And at one point during the day, I was talking about forming metal, and one of them said, like a handpan. And I didn't remember, but that's the name of like a steel drum that you can play with your hands. I have never said that phrase before, and I have definitely never typed the phrase handpan. But that night, surfing Amazon, handpan showed up in my thing, and it was because this lady's listening. Yeah. It was fun to get a genuine confirmation of something I knew I had never entered into my computer. Robert Hausman asks, is there a discontinued tool you wished a company still made? Yeah, one thing. I've talked about these before, screwdrivers. Specifically, the Stanley Workmaster series of screwdrivers. I would love Stanley to bring these back. I think it's my favorite form factor for the handle of a tool. For the longest time, I had one from my dad's toolkit in my shop. It was one of the first tools he gave me. It got stolen when we got robbed on Savage Builds. I bought another one. I now have a complete set of Stanley Workmaster screwdrivers, both Phillips and flathead. I am sad they no longer make these. This is one of the things about late stage capitalism that bugs me, is the new thing every 12 months, every 18 months, the requirement for a company to constantly be building sales by releasing new versions of, I mean, how many different screwdrivers has Stanley made over the last 100 years that they've been around? I think they could have stopped here and we'd all be fine. But that's not how it works, and I recognize that. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us even further, you can by becoming a tested member. Details are, of course, below, but it includes all sorts of perks, and we're building them all the time. You get advanced word and behind-the-scenes photos of some of our projects. Questions, you get to ask direct questions during my live streams, and we have some members-only videos, including the Adam real-time series of unbroken, unedited shots of me working here in the shop. They are weirdly meditative. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.